Hey, Tubies! It's Psychic Bob. Here we are. It's Sunday night. And you know what that means? It's time for the Witching Hour. We got our old crew all back together. Oh, we're so happy. You know, we've been the last few weeks have been having technical problems. But knock on wood, keep your fingers crossed. We're all together. We're all live. And it's happening. It's happening, girl. Anyways, I'm glad you're here. And I want everybody to give a big shout out. Let's go down the road. Lady Angela, let's start with you, dear.
Hi, everybody. Super excited for tonight's show and so glad you're all here.
Lord Tony.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here. It's going to be a great show.
Yay, Lady Carol.
Hi, everybody. I want to welcome you to the show, and I hope you have a great time.
Yay. Well, see, isn't that great? We're all here, you know. I want to welcome all of you. I haven't got my chat open. I'm having some problems here. But, Lady Angela, can you see if we got anybody in the chat tonight?
We sure do, Bob. We got Little Lil World. We got Celtic. We got Melanie Miller's here. Fairy Magic. Gav is here. Debbie Webby's here. Followers of the Old Ways. Sage the Green is here. Mama Bird's here. Crystal Rain's here. Julio's here. Nigella for me's here. We got a lot of regulars and also some new names, Bob. How exciting is that?
Yay, I am so excited to have all of you here. Well, welcome to our show tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk about, let me just kind of give you guys some updates here. We're kind of going to do the show a little different because a lot of you have been writing to me. And by the way, I do get all your letters. Thank you. I just, right now, it's hard for me to personally write everybody. As I hope you understand, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers thing, not a personal thing. Okay. So if I didn't write you back, that means Psychic Bob don't care. But I am getting a lot of letters. And I've been sharing it with the crew here about people are asking, saying, Bob, each week we'd like to learn something witchy. Could you do kind of a topic or a theme for the show each week? And, you know, I think that's a wonderful idea. We've always had kind of an open mic night. We're still going to have open mic and questions, but we want to help you because we've got a lot of new members of the Order of the Purple Cord. As you notice, I'm representing wearing my purple cord tonight. And, you know, for those of you who are just joining the order, a lot of you are saying, well, we're new to Wicca. We're trying to learn stuff. Can you just kind of help us a little bit? And you know what? I'm getting those letters and I'm hearing it and I'm all down with it. So Lady Angela and Lord Tony and Lady Carol and I put our heads together and we said, we're going to start a topic series. So this week, our topic is the mystical witch hat. And some of you are going to say, well, we want to know about this or that. Well, you know, we're going to get to all your topics in the coming weeks. So not to worry. But tonight we want to start with something that you oftentimes don't hear people talking about, you know, like people say to me, sometimes they see me wearing my witch hat and they're like, oh, come on, Psychic Bob, do witches really wear hats? Is that really a witch thing? And the answer is yes. But, you know, you don't find that in most Wiccan books. They don't talk about the witch hat. But it's not just something from Hollywood. It's actually a real accessory. And might I add, it's making a comeback. And, you know, Lady Angela, you know, you were over here. You and I the other day were talking about the fun of wearing witch hats, weren't we?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I bet a lot of people are wondering what's the big deal with the witch hat? Sometimes it's called a conical hat because it comes up like a cone shape to a point at the top. So what's so special? Is there any kind of thought other than being fashionably witchy?
What's that? I couldn't hear your question.
Is there any other purpose to having a hat with a point, with a conical hat, other than being fashionably witchy?
Oh. Well, yes, there is actually. And you know, I thought what I'd do is maybe we could, first of all, before we get into that, maybe each of you could just show your witch hats real quick. And then we're going to talk in detail about what it all means. So tonight I'm wearing my famous black hat with my golden stars. And I'll show you some other ones in just a little while. But this is my hat. Show us your hat, Lady 8.
I think me and Lady Carol are wearing the same one right at this moment.
I realized that. I was like,
we're wearing the same exact one. This is one I either found it on eBay or Amazon. but it's like it's knitted, and it comes in other colors. And I like it because it's a little bit discreet. Like I could wear this fishing in the summertime, out fishing, you know, and people wouldn't never be too wise other than the point. But it's casual, and you can actually wear it in town, and it's not so in your face witchy. And I like it because I could shape it how I want it. So, and I think Lady Carol's wearing the exact same one as me right now.
Lady Carol, let's see your hat. Can you tell
We
us?
were actually on the same train of thought tonight, ironically. But yeah, I'm wearing the exact same hat, which is very rare. We never do that. But the fun thing about this, it's knitted. It has wire along the rim, so you can shape it. And
Yep. Lady Carol, don't you have that hat? I think you have it in red and blue also.
I have it in red. Yeah.
Yep.
Matter of fact, let me grab my hat box. Hold on.
Well, yeah. How funny that we both were wearing the exact same hat. I got a whole pile of them over here to show too.
By
But
the way, this is my hat box.
oh, that's cool.
It's actually a witch hat that I made, and I keep all my hats inside. It's kind of
Oh my God, you made that?
I made it in the design of a witch hat.
That's
And
brilliant.
I put like a bow. Well, it's kind of hard to hold. It's very big, guys. You're gonna lose me in a minute. Trust me. I put a bow in the front, but it's actually a cone.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And this is where I store all my hats.
You could make those a seller for sure. I'd buy the first one.
With the whole design of it, it takes a lot of patience and a lot of hot glue, trust me. But yeah, I have different ones. I have my zebra hat, which is my winter hat with the little ball on the end. And my purple hat for the order. Oh, here's the red one.
Your hair is beautiful.
Thank you. There we go. Now we're different.
All right, there we go. All right. Well, I love all the hats. I'll show you guys my hat since we're on the path of showing hats, and then we'll talk about what this means. I have the love of the witch hat, you know. I've been collecting them for a long time, and I just enjoy them. And for those of you who are watching, men can wear the witch hat as well as women. So, you know, it's not distinct only for women. Now, speaking of Lady Carol's purple hat, I also have a purple hat too. And this is my purple hat that I like to wear. It's an OPC hat. And so I got purple. And because I do astrology, I have ones that have the stars all over them. So I enjoy the stars. And then for the Sabbats, I like to wear red hats because it's the fire color. Now, what's funny is Lady Angela has this hat also. And it looks orange on camera, but it's actually red in person.
I have it right here.
Okay. So I got a red one. And then, you know, people sometimes think when I wear black hats, that makes me evil. But I'm actually a white witch. So to prove that, I have a white witch hat also.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that pretty? It's like white satin with gold on it. So I got a number of different hats. In fact, I don't think I've ever worn my white hat on the show before.
No, that one is so cool. That looked great with the silver cape.
Yeah, I should wear that on the moon. This is for like moon rituals too. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
So, you know, all of our witch hats, you know, are part of kind of our personal attire. And you can wear them for ritual. What's that?
I have more show and tell.
Okay, you got some more? Okay.
Yep. Me and Lady Carol also have this same one. Oh, you got it right there too, don't you, Lady Carol?
Oh, yeah.
I love this one. I found it on Amazon too, but it's a purple one with a veil, and it has beautiful like feathers in the front and on the sides. And this is another fun one I have. I love this one. So that's when I go in full robe for purple cord type things, sometimes I like to wear that one. This one I like because it has a crookedy point to it, that it's crookedy, and it's fun, and I just absolutely love that because it's crookedy. I have another black one here somewhere. It's kind of see-through. So I'll show you, since we're talking hats, I'll show you one of my favorite hats too, is that hat. It's not a witch hat. I love my Hatter hat. Sometimes I just wear it sitting on my couch just because. So we're talking hats. I had to show all the hats.
All right. Now, you know, speaking of hats, the witch hat is actually a little later addition to the whole witch headgear, because the earlier witches, a lot of them, instead of having all these hats, they wore cloaks with hoods. And Lord Tony, are you wearing your hood tonight?
No, that one had an accident.
Okay.
Like I said, it never fit me right to begin with, so it kind of tore. So I got to get something different. But
Okay.
I always have my hoodie on.
There
And
you
this can
go.
still work. If done properly, it can still work. I can still tie it up, all that fun stuff, you know. But
Yeah.
inside the
Well,
house,
see,
it's warm. But I could also just go with this and but yeah, I can't keep that balanced up there.
Lord Tony,
Yeah,
spiritual.
I'm more of a hood kind of guy. You know, I'm not
Yeah.
much into hats that often. So
Well, that's all right, because the hood is also a traditional witch head covering. So that's the point I wanted to say, is that, you know, you don't have to wear witch. It's not mandatory. It's something, though, that a lot of witches today are finding that they're enjoying and they're rediscovering. And, you know, sometimes I actually go in public in my witch hat, even when it's not Halloween. I get some interesting looks, but you know what? I don't care. I have a fun time. I do. I sometimes do it. But I want to talk about what the meaning of the hat is. Okay. Now, there are a lot of theories and conjectures behind the history of the hat. And one of the historical issues around the witch hat is that the hat was actually worn in, particularly in Wales. In Wales today, they still have the traditional Welsh clothing. The people of the time would wear these conical hats. Now, they weren't necessarily witches. They were part of the fashion of the day. Back in the Middle Ages, conical hats actually became quite the fashion, particularly in the British Isles. And what happened is, in the region of Wales, it was kind of isolated. And when that fashion, the conical hat, went out of style, a lot of the people in the country regions, the pagans as they were believed, didn't know the fashions had changed. Because remember, you know, it would take 6 months for news to get anywhere. So a lot of times people would still be wearing these hats even though they were no longer in fashion. And so it became associated with people that were the country dwellers and that were not necessarily in tune with modern society. So the first thing is, you know, it represented people that were country dwellers. Now, within the witch community, they found great value in this hat because in it are many lessons, teaching lessons about witchcraft. First of all, we have the round brim. And the round brim represents the circle. Whenever they order, the coven gathers, they always form a circle. And when you're, even if you're solitary, you always cast a circle when you do your rituals. So this represents the magical circle, the brim of the hat. Now, when we raise power in ritual, we call that the cone of power. You don't hear a lot about the cone of power, but particularly back in Gerald Gardner's day, who was one of the founders of modern day Wicca. He worked with a coven in England in the New Forest, and when they gathered, they would visualize light, a cone forming and sending light out into the cosmos, or they would project it to the high priest or high priestess who would send it up. But anyways, if you have a beam of light and you watch it go into the sky, as it gets further away, it gets smaller and smaller. Thus, it creates the effect of a cone. A cone is also pinpointed so that the energy is finely directed to an exact person or situation. And so the cone of power represents the magic that we release in our rituals. And so whenever you don the witch hat, you're affirming the truths of magic. You guys agree with that?
I
Oh,
do.
yeah.
And actually, followers of the old ways posted a comment that's right in line with that. They say that the brim represents the magical circle and the cone represents the cone of power. And also, we wear it to attune with the goddess and horned god. And I believe that's because of the circle and then the point, as well as
Oh,
to the
wow.
center.
Now that is a real, who said that?
Followers of the old ways.
Oh, yes. Okay. Followers of the old ways. Thank you for this because I hadn't thought of that. Now that's a wonderful insight. So the circle is like the goddess. The circle represents like the moon or the disc, the hold stone, and then it's like the horn of the horned lord. I like
Right.
that. I'm liking that. All right. Thank you for sharing that. That's a really good point,
Billy Mayer has a great question for Tony. Are we open to questions now? Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, unless there's other stuff people want to continue with about the hats, because, Go
Well,
ahead.
there's a really interesting question I had to bring up. It's for Tony from Billy Mayer. Tony, didn't you say you had an encounter with a tarot, which is a friendly deero? Then they later ask if it had a long nose. Tony, I'm dying to know this story. What is going on here?
This has to refer to a dream I had. It was a very vivid, maybe lucid dream. I'm not sure. It could be astral traveling. It's something that it seems like it took place when I was in the hospital after I had been hit by the car. And what I had seen was this. I had first heard it was a really, really loud humming sound, and it was in my ears. And what I'm seeing in the vision was this golf ball shaped ball. It was like really golden colored. It had all the dimples like a golf ball would, but it was really, really loud humming, and it was flying up high up in the air, like I'm multiple levels up in the hospital room, and it was flying, pretty much level with the window, and it finally came up to my window, and the wall disappeared. And then
wow.
At this time, a walkway opened up through there. And I don't know why my cat was in there, but my current cat, Oreo, was there in this vision that I was having. And the two beings walked out. One was kind of a purplish color, and another one, he had a good tan going on him. He was wearing white robes. He was tall, and he had a conical head. And, his robes were all laced with gold around all the edges. He had a gold cincture around his belt, for a belt. And they said, "You've been injured." They either said this to my cat about my cat, or they said it to me, but it's, "You've been injured. We'll take care of it." And
wow.
And they said that I needed to come into the ship. And then, like, I'm still a smart ass at this age, like, I can't remember exactly what it said, but he said, "Just get in here." So when I got in there, I was looking around, and there were seats everywhere. They're plastered along the whole inside edge of the ship. Like, everyone could sit upside down if they wanted to, or right where they wanted to. But in the very center was like a console where he and the other being stood. And we took off, and next thing you know, we're back on the ground again. But
wow.
It looked like, from what I could see, everything was underground. The grass was green. He brought me to a section, a walled section, where there's different hieroglyphs going on there for like different languages. And he showed me the one that had all these Egyptian symbols on there, and said, "I think you can recognize these for yourself." And after that, I was walking with the whole group of kids. I mentioned that I was hungry, and they said, "Well, we don't eat food down here. We drink this." And he handed me this metal thing like this, like a gallon-sized metal container. And he says, "This is what we drink." And I drank that, and next thing you know, I'm waking up. So that was pretty much it. But I didn't know what this was. I didn't know who these beings were, and I actually had to search them up. And I just Googled pictures of aliens, and I came across the exact same alien, the same looking style alien that I had seen, and they're called the Tarot. And
wow.
they
Do
pretty
they have
much
long nose?
What was that?
Do they have long nose?
No, this one didn't have a long nose, but I know what he's talking about, because the bad versions that are down there with them, that the Tarot actually keep in control of, keep them from doing stupid shit, basically.
Oh, wow.
They're like little goblin-looking things, and yeah, they have the really long noses on them. And
oh, how interesting!
Wow. Well,
that was
there you
pretty
go.
much that.
Here's a comment related to the witch's hat, and it's quite good. Montcalm Horror says, "I think the cone is like an antenna. So the longer your cone is, the better your reception." And then they say that their cone is very, very long.
All right. There you
Look at Tony's cone. That's awesome.
All right. Well, you know, hey, why not?
Yep.
One thing that
You know, when we talk about these mystical experiences like Lord Tony had, I think it's so fascinating to really stop and listen and consider that, you know, there are times in our lives when we get those little glimpses, you know, those little mystical insights to other dimensions, other worlds. And so, Lord Tony, I have to tell you, I'm not prepared to dismiss that as just a delusion. I think you had a true spiritual experience there.
Yeah, I do too. I think slowly my memories are coming back from the accident when that happened, and I remember nothing from before the accident. So it's slowly things are coming back, and memories that have, I don't know, from what actually happened. I'm not sure, but weird stuff happened after the accident. So let's just put it that way.
Wow, how interesting! But thank you for sharing that with us, and a lot of people in the chat are thanking you for sharing that with us too. What an intimate story.
one thing I wanted to say about the cone of power, what people don't realize is they were actually worn in Egypt, and they were considered a part of royalty. Only the royals could wear them. And if you look at the top of, you know, the crowns that were worn, they're exactly the shape of a witch hat.
You know,
That's
you're
true.
absolutely right, because I saw a picture of Lord Osiris wearing I think it was called the crown of the Upper Egypt, and it's a long conical pointed thing. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
I think that also had to do with, I think some of the Egyptians, especially the royal ones, their heads were different, you know, because they had some alien makeup in there.
Well,
And
actually, what they did was they strapped the baby's head as soon as it was born to make it elongated.
Yeah, the elongated head was a sign of nobility or royalty, I believe.
Yeah. They would reshape the skull and keep it that way until the bones fused, and that was the way it became permanent. Some tribes in Africa still do that. They do it with people's necks when they're born. The babies. You ever see this tribe that has these super long necks?
Yep.
Where they wear rings? That's how it's done, because the bones are still flexible.
Right. Right. Montcalm Horror asked a question. They ask, can we connect with aliens on other planets with our minds?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And in fact, they're reaching out to many people on the earth now. I've had a lot of people come for private readings, and they're saying, Bob, I'm not crazy. I swear to God, there are people talking to me inside my head. They're telling me they're from, you know, this planet or that planet. Is this real? And my response is absolutely yes. They're trying to make contact. And right now, a lot of people that are getting messages are people who are ready to receive those messages. So if you're somebody, you're getting that inside your head, you're probably not crazy. It's happening in great numbers all over the planet now. It's a good question.
Oh, sorry, I'm replying to a comment. I'm here. Shauna says she's going to bed, so I was wishing her a good night. I was looking.
Shauna,
wow, they got snow in Arizona. Huh?
Shauna, please, hon, don't go away upset. We're getting a lot of people in. It's nothing personal against you, dear. I hope you have a good night if you're leaving, but we wish you'd stay.
It's always fun coming on here, though, you know, every Sunday, and we really enjoy the chat. You know, the show's as much a part of the people here in our chat as it is us, you know, and we appreciate everybody taking a little hunk out of their day to sit with us and visit and talk about witchy things. And we just want to thank you guys always for coming. We got a lot of regulars that tune in each episode, and also new people too. And we try to get all your questions in there. And also, it's kind of tough to watch the questions and stay with what we're talking about. And so we all try to multitask with that. And we try to keep up. So we appreciate y'all having patience with us and being here with us.
Yeah, I know in the past some people have written me letters and said that I don't care about them, and that's not the truth. It's until you try to do a show, you'll never understand what it's like trying to keep an eye, because like on my side, I'm trying to watch the broadcast signal to make sure we're still broadcasting. Lady Angela's trying to capture letters, and we're all trying to talk. So if anybody thinks we're ignoring you, we're not. We're truly just trying to balance it. That's all.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have all the fancy production stuff, so you know, we're working on our own internet services, and some of those go down, you know, and some of us don't have eyes of eagles where we can catch everything, and you know, it's kind of hard. If you've ever been in a chat room where there's, you know, 500 people trying to talk to you at one time, you can't keep up with them, and that's basically what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, we're dealing with our own, you know, things trying to be here, and I mean that's part of our thing with the show. You know, sometimes we have technical difficulties and we can't, you know, always fix everything.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, because a lot of times what happens is while I'm here talking, somebody might be asking me a question, but what people don't know is I've got professional studio lighting in my house. I can't actually see the chat easily unless I put on my glasses and go to the screen, because the broadcast, to be able to be seen and be in the light right, I have to be back from the screen. So I'm not trying to ignore anybody. It's just how it is, you know.
Well, you know, it doesn't always make for good video if our eyes are constantly looking down too at the chat. You know, it's like for me, I have my phone is my camera right now, and it's the microphone, it's the camera. I have to look down at my tablet where the chat room is, and that's also sharing the same screen with the YouTube video at the same time. So it's like, if I'm lucky, if I catch my name on here before it flashes by, and I end up going back, but then I get a question asked of me here on video, and I'm like, what? Sorry. You know, I got this.
Right.
It really doesn't make good video if we're having to constantly look down. So if you know, someone gets a chance to ask a question and we can answer it, it's great.
Yeah, we're trying to do best we can, so bear with us, guys. You know, someday when Psychic Bob's rich, if he gets his big TV break, then I'll have a big studio and 20 million steps, and then we'll make it really great for you guys. But right now, it's just me trying to manage it with the rest of the crew here. So we do hope you understand that, you know.
Yeah, some people in the comments
we do care about you guys. We do love you guys. It's just, you know, we're working on low budgets here. And if you ever try to do something like this and bring it all together from different areas to top it off, we're not in the same place. It gets kind of tricky. So please understand, you know, we do love you. We do care about you. We're trying to get, you know, things done the best way we can. It's just, it's hard to make it flow perfect. We're not, you know, NBC or ABC or, you know, Witchy C or, you know, any of those. You know,
Gav says
everyday people.
Right. Very well said, Lady Carol. Gav says, I love it when the OPC crew's all together. I fully understand when you can't address everyone. It's impossible. Zoe Shinny says, we understand. Sorry that some people feel that way. And Christian Druid says, I still love the witching hour, whether my questions are seen or not. Well, we thank you guys for your support. Tilly Vlog says, I
just said, I agree. Thank you.
Yep. Tilly Blog says, to further the communication on communication with aliens, can you use a black mirror to do that if you believe and ask for that connection?
I'd say yes, absolutely. Black Mirror is a portal, and it can go anywhere, to the spirit realm, to other planets, to across the earth. You're not really limited. Yeah, I'm a big believer in the Black Mirror, and yes, you can contact aliens with it, no matter where they are.
I'm going to say, as far as to enhance that, I would go with some moldavite or even meteorite to bring in those astral outer space type energies to come through at the same time.
Thank you, Lord Tony. That's the stone I was trying to remember, was moldavite. The other day I was talking to somebody and they said they wanted a gemstone, and I went blank on that word. I was like, what is that stone? Moldavite. Thank you. I needed that. Yeah. No, but really it's so important that, when we talk about connecting to other realms, that of course we want to do it safely. It's like you don't just open your door and let anybody come in. So make your focus of who you're trying to reach. And I would say with the aliens, focus on one particular race and make a direct contact with that race. Because there are aliens who are not the most friendly out there as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. Some people have asked about fairy magic. Can you talk about fairy magic? I'm gonna step away for a second, but I'll be right back. But
Okay.
Kathy Private asked about fairy magic. Any advice or info?
Lady Carol, you do a lot with that. Maybe you want to talk about that.
Well, it depends on what they want to know. I mean, are you trying to connect with the fairies, or have you seen some fairies? Would you like to know how? If you want to know how, I usually try to work with garden gnomes and the fae in that way. Make little offerings. You can actually create a fairy garden for them, and if they like the garden, you may actually see one or two. I will tell you this: if you are going to be serious about it, make sure you maintain your garden and make sure you honor the earth, because they are very, very particular about that. They don't want somebody just coming in. Now, I'm going to tell you, a lot of the fae are extremely protective, and they don't just let anybody in their door. So if you want to connect with them and they feel that they're safe around you and that you're 100% honest and you're truthful to yourself and truthful to meeting them, they'll come.
I agree with that. And one of the things is, like, because I know somebody's going to ask, well, I don't have a garden, I don't have a yard. I live in a house or an apartment that doesn't have a backyard or garden. Can I still have fairies? And the answer is yes, because there's a whole class of fairies that are inside house fairies. And one of them is called the brownie. They were particularly popular in Scotland. Some of you in the UK probably know. Gav may know about the brownies. And Gav, I'd be interested to hear if you know about them. But they're coming typically out of Scotland, but they're also in England and other Celtic countries. But they're fond of living in houses. And, when you make offerings to the fae, one of the things that I always learned was you don't tell them thank you, because in their culture, saying thank you for helping me with this house, like a lot of times the fae will clean your house at night and fix things that are broken. And if you say thank you, they feel that's insulting. It's like, oh, you don't value me, I'm just a servant. And so you never say the words thank you, but you leave a gift typically for the fae, like milk and some bread or cake. They love sweet cakes like cinnamon rolls or cake and cupcakes. They love that stuff. And I like a
And
bowl
costume jewelry. They love costume jewelry.
That's true. They love sparkling stuff.
And that's all across the board with the fae, every single one.
What's that, Carol? I can hear you.
That's all across the board. Every single branch of the Fae loves sparkly.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
That's their little treasure.
You know, well, I agree. Well, you know, tonight I have to show you. It's funny we're talking about this because I'm wearing one of my favorite pendants, which is a blue sapphire. And let me show this to you. But this is a blue sapphire. And one time it went missing, and it was missing for like 6 months. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And I realized, you know what? I think the Fae took it. And so I just made my peace that they had it. And literally like a month after that, it reappeared literally on my altar. Like, and I was at my altar every day. So it wasn't like I just didn't see it, you know. And that's how the Fae, a lot of times they'll take it, but they'll bring it back as long as you don't, you know, you let them enjoy it. They're happy to return it a lot of times to you.
That's awesome. Gab Hines says he just bought some benzoin resin incense to use, as he's read it's good to remove negativity. Has anyone had any experience with it? I've worked with it before, and you burn it in a censer with a charcoal briquettes or little bits of the charcoal on it. And I find it's wonderful. And I love that it has a very like ancient aroma. When I smell it, it like has extra sensory feelings it gives me that taps into days of old, you know, and I can picture myself sitting around a campfire way back, another lifetime smelling that. So it taps into antiquity when I burn it, and I really love it and use it for whenever I'm really working some powerful type magic or meditations.
Yeah, you know, I did a video a few years back. If you go to my channel and search in the videos, called How to Make a Prosperity Incense. It's very simple, but I show in there how to blend benzoin's one of the ingredients in that. And I have to tell you, Lady Angel, I love that scent. Oh, it's heavenly. It really is.
Copal is another good one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So
Julio Irizarry asked, can you use scrying to see the future?
yeah, oh yes, absolutely. Yes. Scrying.
Just like you would read.
What's that, Lady Angel? Go ahead.
I was thinking, doesn't scrying work just kind of like tarot cards or oracle cards do?
Similar. It allows you to get a glimpse of what is there and what is coming and what could be. Now, you have to be careful with scrying visions that you don't get locked into like saying, it's fate, it must happen the way I see it in the scrying vision. Because that's a potential of what may come. And I always say if you get a vision, it also means that you can change that vision. So let's say you're looking in your scrying bowl, like if you scry with water. In fact, I have a wonderful scrying bowl. In fact, Lady Angel, I want to show that. So hold on. Can you just take it over for me for a second?
Sure, absolutely. Bob, I tell you, he's a wizard on scrying. He has several videos in his queue on scrying. And Lord Tony himself has a video on his channel here on YouTube where he makes a scrying mirror. Wasn't it on YouTube, Lord Tony?
Yeah, it was how to make a black scrying mirror. Yeah, it was how to make a black scrying mirror. And it's real quick. You know, it's simple to do.
And it works. It works. And it's awesome.
$1 to make, you know.
Right. You know, on Lord Bob's Saturday night seance videos, he's worked with black scrying mirrors a few times. If you want to get more familiar with that, definitely check out his queue for Saturday night seances where he explores all different ways of spirit communication.
Thank you, Lady Angela. Thank you, Lord Tony. Well, this is one of my favorite scrying devices. I use the black mirror, but sometimes I like the energy of water. I find that I get really powerful effects when I use a scrying bowl. Now, this scrying bowl is really cool because it's a triple goddess scrying bowl. And if you like this, you can buy this over at rarewiccaspells.com, Lady Angela's store. That's where I bought it. And it's got a black interior, and you fill it with water. And then when you sit and you look into it, it's like a black mirror. But I find that just for me, that sometimes I get more effect from the water even than from the black mirror because that water element adds an extra energy charge to the work. And so I recommend scrying. But like if I were to look in my black scrying bowl and let's say I see somebody dying, you know, like I said, oh my gosh, John Joe over in Canada is going to die tomorrow. Well, that's not necessarily a prophecy that he's meant to die. It means that there's something going on that if he doesn't change, this could be the end result. So as a scryer, we have to be careful we don't get caught up into being terrified if we see something that we don't like. It means, hey, there's a chance to change that. You see? Do you guys agree with me on that?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
And just to point out that either deep water or dark water, like you've just described, is directly associated with psychism, with visions, with deep meditation, with soul searching. It's 100% effective.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Nigella for me has a question. I think
Hi,
we all could
Nigella.
take
By the way, Nigella, I saw your comment. I couldn't get to it. It went off the screen too quick. So,
okay. They say, Lord Bob, why do you think all think Wicca is associated with being evil when it's such a peaceful way of living? Why do we got a bad rap?
well, you know, I think we've gotten a lot of bad publicity between Hollywood and the Catholic Church, to be honest with you. You know, in the heyday of the Catholic Church, and I'm not going to back down from this. People are saying, "Oh, you shouldn't say that about a religion," but it's just historical fact. The Catholic Church killed people for what we do. They decided we don't like it, and therefore you will die. So, and the Catholic Church to this very day still holds these teachings. So, you know, it's so funny because I went to a Catholic church one time, and I told the priest. He said, "Oh, are you Catholic?" I said, "No, I'm a Wiccan." Well, you should have seen the look on his face. And he says to me, he says, "Well, you shouldn't be involved with that. That's of the devil and that's deadly and you kill people." I said, "Oh, Father, let me tell you what we're really about." And when I sat down, I actually sat down and explained it to him. He said, "I had no idea it was like that." And I said, "Well, there you go." See, a lot of false teaching being put out there. I still see it, sadly, on YouTube. There are a lot of channels that are Christian based that actually put out videos about Wicca, and they're really absolute lies. They're nothing at all true. And to call out another, I'm on a preaching box here. I'm gonna call them all out. Pat Robertson's on my bad list because he regularly discusses Wicca on the 700 Club, and he tells nothing but vindictive lies about us. So that's why it's thought of as evil. It's the lies of the Christian church, and Hollywood lumps us in with Satanists, which were totally different traditions, have no connection, and that's why. Good question. Do you
Lord
guys?
Bob, I also want to add to that. Another thing that people don't understand is, you know, back in the day, your healers and midwives were pagan. Medical industry also stepped into that when doctors came into play. They wanted to get rid of them. So they actually started convincing people that their medicine was better than that of their, you know, tribal witch or shaman or, you know, whatever title they went to. And it got to a point where they were killing them off because they didn't want that competition. And then as time went on, you know, they started understanding, well, you know, we could use some of this from what they learned for the medicines and we can make money. So the pharmaceutical industry started. And they kind of went hand in hand. And believe it or not, even to today, it still exists.
Right.
95% of your doctors don't want you to go to your shaman, don't want you to go to your healer, don't want you to try anything natural because they lose money. So think about that.
That, and also I'd like to add that people are afraid of what they don't understand, you know, and so they eat up all the hype and all the Hollywood stuff, and they just don't understand it. Some people are just that way, you know, and they're going to fear it, ridicule it, strike it down, call it bad, just because it's something they don't understand.
Yeah. You know, fear is one of man's greatest enemies And people don't even realize it. They don't, because it's become so natural to them. Acceptance is 10 times harder than fear.
Yep.
It's harder for people to accept something, but it's easy for them to fear it.
Right.
I agree, and I think this is why, those of us who are able to be public and out, like I'm kind of public, I'm well known, and in my area, I'm openly known as a Wiccan. I do get some flack about it occasionally, but it's really rare. Most people really don't care what your religion is, really. But for the ones that do, you just have to be willing to engage in a positive dialogue. And if they don't want to engage, then just skip it. You don't owe them an explanation for your faith. But I find that a lot of times, I'll go in public and I'll be wearing, like I'm wearing my pentacle also today with my sapphire. And people will say, "Oh, isn't that beautiful star? What does that mean?" And I'll say, "Oh, it's a symbol of my faith." And I said, it represents the totality of the universe, all the energies under God's power. I just make it that simple. And they're like, "Oh, I like that." And I said, "What's the name of that religion?" I said, "It's called Wicca." And they're like, "Oh, it sounds very nice." I just keep it very simple like that. And I think that helps also alleviate fears. Because if I turn around and say, "It's the sign of witchcraft,"
Right.
But you have to include we eat babies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No!
Well, Tony, why don't you tell us, those wasabi peas are little baby parts, Carla.
Yeah, these babies are real good.
They're spicy, and when babies are done right, they're crispy and they taste awesome with barbecue.
The wasabi baby. Okay, Tilly Vlog says, if the black mirror is a portal to the spirit world and serves the same purpose as a Ouija board, when would you use a black mirror versus a Ouija board? And I'd like to comment on that and say, I'm someone who doesn't use a Ouija board. I don't use a Ouija board just because I don't care to. No reason for it, just it's not for me. Now, for myself, I would use a scrying. Actually, I love the pendulum. I love using the pendulum. I love using tarot cards and oracle cards, which are all ways of communicating with the spirit world, as well as spirit boards, Ouija boards, scrying. Scrying has many ways, whether it's a black mirror or I love to do candle scrying. That's the form of scrying I like to do. So yes, perhaps that looking into a black mirror does the same purpose as a Ouija board, but maybe certain methods aren't for you, or some people favor certain methods over others. And I think we all have our tool of choice, or our basket of tools that we use to communicate with the spirit world, depending on if we're doing it for us, for others, the nature of our question, our purpose, and just some tools aren't for some people because we just don't. Maybe it doesn't work for us. Maybe for you, every time you touch a Ouija board, it just never moves. Maybe it's just not for you. Maybe another method will work better for you, or use a whole basket of methods. So there's really, I think that's a pretty good answer to that question, unless you guys want to add to that.
I agree. I think, people have a natural disposition to how they connect with the psychic realms and the spiritual realms. And there's no one right way. It's what works for you. And Lady Angela, you what you said so accurate. Like, it just may not be, like the Ouija board is not for you. It just doesn't resonate with you.
Right.
That's all. It's not a judgment and one's better or it's just what works. I like water scrying. Like that is probably, I do prefer that more than even the Ouija board, But I do the Ouija board because I enjoy the Ouija. But if I had only one tool I could choose, if they said you can only do Ouija or only do scrying, I would take my water scrying over my Ouija. So yeah.
Since you work with water scrying so much, Lord Bob, I'll throw this question at you.
Oh, okay.
Core Beauty Effect says, what does it mean when you see yourself underwater, like in a mirror?
Oh, that's very interesting. What that means is that, well, it can mean different things. So I don't want to say you has to mean. Traditionally, what that means is that you're discovering again your inner self. It's like you're underwater. It's not a prophecy of drowning, because somebody once had this and they come and said, Bob, I'm going to die tomorrow in drowning. I saw myself underwater. I had this similar question. And what that really means is that you've gone deep within yourself, and now your true self is emerging. Who you really are, who you want to be, is coming up to the surface. So you're not actually going under the water. It's actually you're coming up out of the water. So it's a sign of emergence rather than sinking.
That's awesome. Like embracing your psychic self, you know, and tapping into that. Well, that's beautiful. It reminds me of a certain card that's in my favorite tarot deck. It's called the Witch's Tarot, and it's the Page of Cups, and it has this beautiful wave, and it has this young girl there, and she's holding a chalice there to catch the water from the wave, and it has to do with tapping into your budding psychic self, tapping into your inner self, to that fountain, just tapping into it. So that's what that reminds me of. That's really cool.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I have to see that card. That sounds wonderful. You know, dreams are also a whole fascinating realm, and so dreams and visions, they all kind of interconnect, because see, the spirit world reaches us through the subconscious mind. Sometimes people say, well, gee, Bob, if you're hearing a spirit voice, isn't that just in your head? Isn't it all in your mind? And my response is, yeah, probably. But where else would it be? Because, see, the dimensions cross through the human consciousness. So if it's in your mind, don't discredit it as not real. It's just a different way of energy and knowledge and power and communication transference.
Right.
Because I'll tell you something, I'll do scrying. Like you may have had this, some of you guys. I'll look in the bowl, and some of you have probably heard me say this. Sometimes I hear sounds, like I'll hear voices even before I have a vision. You know, like I'll get an auditory thing even though I'm scrying. And so, you know, where does that come from? It comes from the opening of the portal of dimensions, you know.
That's awesome.
One thing I wanted to say real quick is I've noticed that certain people that are drawn to stones, people that are drawn to water, people that are drawn to certain elements in their life, choose certain methods of scrying. And I'm pretty sure you all can agree with this. Lord Bob is more like drawn to water, so the bowl becomes his method. Lady Angela, I think you're fire. Am I correct?
I think so.
So you choose the tarots and stuff, right? Which are semi-connected to, you know.
Oh, you mean my element for my sign? No, I'm an air sign, which is learning and knowledge, and tarot goes right along with that, correct?
Right. That's what I mean. And that when we scry, you know, we're drawn to like that specific tool, you know,
right,
for scrying, because some people can't use crystal ball. You know,
right.
they're not connected to the earthy element, so the crystal ball does nothing for them. So you may want to look into that when you go into your scrying element. Associate yourself to that tool. A lot of people don't, and they're like, well, it doesn't work for me. Well, that could be why you're more drawn to this direction than you are to that direction.
Yes.
I think that's really perfect, Lady Carol. And follow up with that, Kimmy D just wrote, I am drawn to crystals. And crystals can be used in divination, either casting lots of crystals to study, or pulling crystals, or gazing into crystals as well. So that would be like earth energy, wouldn't it, Lady Carol?
Yes, actually, rune stones can be used in that case. A lot of people don't realize what are runes. They're stones, they're wood, they're earth, they're you know, elements that you can use as part of, you know, scrying. Each person must find their tool. Not everybody's tools are going to work for you. And me being more of an earthy witch, I've noticed that I'm, you know, work with more stones than water. You know, I work with the black mirror because it's glass, which is sand. People forget that. Glass is made from sand. So we're pulled to work with our specific elements that we're, you know, drawn to.
Lady Carol, I got to jump in because that makes total sense to me, because I love the black scry mirror, but I like water scrying more, and I had not connected it to that elemental thing. I kept thinking, why do I like water more? Because I like black mirror too, but if I had to choose, I'd choose my scrying bowl. That makes total, because I'm more of a water
You're
psychic.
more of a water, yeah.
Wow.
And it has nothing to do with your birth element. This has nothing to do with your, you know, your air sign, like birth element. Some of us are tuned to specific things on this planet, and we don't realize it. Some are more tuned to stones, some are more tuned to, you know, water, some are more tuned to earth, which, you know, we're tuned to these elements. And during our daily lives, we're not realizing when we choose our tools for our craft, we have a tendency to pull ourselves more towards that element.
How fascinating. Well, you know what? I got to jump in here and show something, because I just got this week a new goddess that I'm exploring, that I'm going to be probably working with more closely. And I want to show her to you guys here. This is from India, and it's the goddess of the Ganges River. Ganga Devi is her name, Ganga Ma. And
Wow.
you'll see she's floating on the water, and she travels on a crocodile. That's a crocodile here. And isn't
that's
she
gorgeous.
beautiful? And she carries
Yes,
the water
yes.
pot of the holy water of the Ganges. And so I didn't know, I've been really drawn to this goddess. And so I got a statue of her. And now that we're talking about this, now it makes total sense why I'm drawn to her. It's that water energy that I'm being pulled into.
Yep.
So maybe I found one of my new goddesses, I think.
Yep. Chris Keir asked a question a couple times. I didn't want to miss it, so I thought I'd ask it. And maybe this is a good one for Lady Carol. And I hope I'm understanding their question right. They say, what if energy came from the side of your wand instead of the top? Will it change the energy or the effectiveness?
Okay, when your energy is coming from the side of the wand, it's your focal direction. Some people are not quite tuned to their wand. Let me give you an example. This is just a regular, you know, stick. Or is it, if my energies are bouncing around the curve of the stick, because everything in, you know, whether we realize it has a curve. If my energies are flowing in one direction and it parallels off, of course, what's going to happen? It's not going to go the way I want it to. My intention may be here, but my energies are not quite there. So I'm going to tell you, do a little more meditation, do a little more focal magic. Now, what I mean by focal magic is as you practice, just like a person reading your aura, you have to tune yourself more to that tool that you're using. If it's still curving off to the side, that means you need to work on you. It's not the tool, it's you. So take more time, meditate, bring yourself into focus. You're there, but you just need a little more work.
Lady Carol, that was really helpful, because I've had that sort of strange experience. I didn't know anybody else ever had that. Because one time I was trying to cast a spell, and I had that weird sensation of it not leaving my wand in a direct path. And I thought, is this really happening? How did this happen? Thank you. That was a few years ago. That answers that for me.
Yeah.
I learned something.
It's really, you have to tune yourself to line up with it. A lot of people think, oh, I can pick up a wand and I'm Harry Potter. More like
Right.
free. I mean, not to be funny, not to be rude, but you really have to put that practice in. You've got to work on you, and then you'll tune yourself to your tools. You can't just pick it up and expect it to work. It doesn't happen that way. Tune yourself, meditate, concentrate, and focus. It'll come in. It'll come in.
Yep. Great advice. Where'd the time go, guys?
I just saw the clock. My God, Lord Tony, you got that titanium down there? Oh,
Yeah, right there.
Titanium.
Between the wasabi and the titanium, that's what it is.
The new anthem.
Wasabi creates a chemical reaction that opens a time portal with the titanium.
Yep, that's got to be it.
That's it. Well, guys, I tell you, we've had so much fun. I don't know where the time goes. I feel like we are only here 5 minutes. You know, it always feels like we just got here and it's time to go. But I am thanking all of you. And, you know, while you're here, you know, we love to answer questions for you. We love to help you. And for those of you who we didn't get your questions, I hope you understand now why we have some trouble. We're not trying to ignore anybody. But, you know, if you need a little extra help on the way, you might want to think about taking up all of us here for our services, because we make our living as professional spiritual workers. I'm a professional psychic medium. And, you know, if you're at a place in your life where you might need a little help to move forward, you might want to think about contacting me for a private reading. I do readings basically every day practically, except for Mondays, usually my day off. But even that sometimes changes. But, you know, I'd love the chance to sit down with you for a reading. Private reading with me is you and me one-on-one for a full hour. And we'll cover everything: past, present, future, spirit guides, messages from deceased loved ones, what your life mission is. All of that, and answer all your questions. And if you want to get on my schedule for a private reading, give me a call at my office. 703, and in fact, put this in your cell phone today. Even if you don't want to buy a reading now, program me in your cell phone, because one day when you think, oh, I want a reading, what's Bob's number? It'll already be in your cell phone. So give me a call, 703-825-3929. Again, 703-825-3929. That will be in the info box below. And get on my schedule. We still have a few openings this week, I think, don't we, Lady Angela?
Absolutely. You still have a few openings for the end of this month, and also looking into next month. So don't hesitate. Bob's readings are awesome. It's 1 whole hour, just you and him. He does them by phone or by Skype or by Hangouts here. And he does them worldwide, no matter where you live. Bob's read for people in Japan. He's read for people all over the UK and so many different countries, too many to even list. But yeah, don't hesitate. Give him a call or send him an email at readings@robert-hickman.com. And while you're at it, pop over and check out my website, rarewiccaspells.com. I have all sorts of cool items there. I have witchy tools. I have hats there. I have books there. I have jewelry there, herbs there, statues there, all sorts of stuff. So check it out at rarewiccaspells.com. And Lady Carol, she has sale, and Lord Tony has some wonderful services that he offers as well.
That's right. I want Lady Carol to tell us about her wands, because we were just talking about that. Lady Carol, you still selling wands?
Yes, I am. I'm selling them on eBay, and you can actually find them at Lady Carol's Wands and More at gmail.com. That's how you can contact me. But I have one currently up. I've got 3 more that I'm going to be putting up tonight. Lady Angela just got one from me, which I'm shipping out tomorrow.
Awesome.
So yeah, just check me out, and you know, hopefully I'll have something you'll like.
Yay! Thank you. Now, you know, one of our other wonderful gifted spiritual workers is Lord Tony. And Lord Tony, he's looking at who, me? Yes, you, Lord Tony. Lord Tony is a mystical healer. He channels energy from the angelic realm. Lord Tony, why don't you tell us a little bit about your work?
Yeah, I do angelic energy healing. I have the angels work through me, and we transmute the healing energies to you wherever you are. works out pretty good. You can do physical healings, energy blockage removals, you name it, we try it. I can't guarantee a miracle, but healing does happen, and I've had great results. I've had over 100, at least 100 healings done. I haven't had a bad review yet. So
let's make that 103. You forgot us.
I said over 100. I haven't quite kept count, but it works out great most of the time, and it's by donation only, so you're not out any money if you don't like it. But donations help keep the website running, and you can find me by Googling Lightbringer's Angel or visit the description underneath the video, and it'll be down there.
Thank you, Lord Tony. Definitely check him out. All of us are here because of Lord Tony. We've all, in the last year, all came close to death, literally. And without Lord Tony, this show would not be here. So definitely check him out. And listen, even though he works by donation, don't be cheap. Come on, don't cheat people. He can save your life. He's worth the money. Invest in him. Okay? Guys, I've had such a good time, and I just want to thank you. By the way, I forgot, pop over to my website, www.psychicbob.com. I've got books over there. I'm a published author, and you can check all these out. Messages from Rose, Ouija Mysteries, Psychic Bob's Book of Spells, and Psychic Bob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom. All of these are available over at www.psychicbob.com. And if you get confused of how to reach me or something, definitely visit Lady Angela at rarewiccaspells.com. She's got a link to me there as well. And while you're there, you can pick up some awesome stuff. And Lady Angela, you also do custom books of shadows, don't you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I would love the opportunity to make each and every one of you one. Lady Carol's holding one up there. I have a small version like hers. I call it the Travel Book of Shadows. And I also make great big ones this thick or even this thick. And they're beautifully designed by me. There's it's not just a recipe book where you read it and it tells you do this, do that. No, these are designed so that you work with them and you also add to them as you go. And as your practice evolves, you create your own spells, you write those in there too. And this book just really grows with you and becomes something that you're intimate with and personally connected with. And it gets stronger and stronger as you do as well. So and you can pick whatever color you want for the cover. If you want certain things inside, I can customize the contents as well. And it's just a lot of fun. And I'm always honored to make another one of these beautiful Book of Shadows for another fellow brother or sister of the craft. So
there you go, guys. We are here. We're resources. Thank you so much, Lady Angela, because you can get a psychic reading from me. You can get ritual supplies and books of spells from Lady Angela. Lord Tony can fix you up and get you on the better track of health. Lady Carol can provide you with the most powerful and beautiful. They really are artworks, her wands. So we're all here to be of service to you. And we hope that you'll check out the links. All of these will be in the info box below this video. Visit us. Let us be part of your journey. Well, guys, I appreciate you being here. I love you. Make sure to be back here tomorrow on Monday. Oh, what's going on Monday, Lady Angela?
Horoscopes.
That's right, horoscope. So be here. We're going to talk about all the major transits and give individual horoscopes for every zodiac sign. So if you watch tomorrow's video, you will get a little reading, a little psychic snapshot of what is in the stars and the cosmos for you. So be here. I love you guys. Thank you so much. And be back here tomorrow for horoscopes. Thanks for being here. Next week, we'll be back same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. Did I get those time zones right? 1 a.m. London time, 2 a.m. Paris time. And if you're up late, we have a lot of people from Europe who stay up late, and we thank all of you for being here. And so be back with us next week at 8 p.m. Eastern U.S. time for the Witching Hour. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, may you all always, what are they going to always be, guys?
Blessed be.
Yay, blessed be. See you tomorrow. Have a good night.